everybody, I'm Tam and this is Dominique, my girl from DC, and we are in her beautiful garden in the heart of the city to talk about growing good food at home. Thank you so much for joining us. Growing Good Food at Home is a series of garden conversations with everyday people that centers growing food for the body and the soul. Thank you so much for having me. This is just wonderful. I have loved you since I first saw you come across my screen on Instagram, and I have cheered you on for all of the wonderful things that you have done over the course of these past years that I've been following you. And it is really a pleasure for me to be here with you.
You gotta
today.
stop, because I'm a crybaby. So I'll be balling. We'll mess up the whole interview with my tears. Thank you.
Seriously, like, this is really a pleasure, and I'm so honored that you have me here today.
It's a pleasure. The pleasure goes both ways, because you have poured so much into me that you encourage me to pour into other gardeners and just people who are trying to develop within this space, this industry, Instagram. I think people who look like us, right?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
there's a confidence that sometimes you may not have, but when you have other women who look like you, literally, this is like my sister.
Yes.
But when you have other women who look like you, it's helpful. So, and who are also not competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's the best part of it, is that, you know, you can have people to encourage you who want to cheer you on, and we can both win.
Absolutely. Yes, because it's something here for us all.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I just have watched so many things and have seen so much potential for where you and Plots and Pans could go. And so the only thing that I could do is cheer you on.
Aww.
So yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to take over the world.
Yes, I love that. Yes, come on now, do that. My first question for you is about how you were initially exposed to gardening. And I know that you are actually not from DC, but you know, once you've been here for a while, I would say that's my girl from DC, but I know that you actually have some deep cultural roots in New Orleans.
Yep.
And I would love to know if your exposure to gardening came from your experiences growing up in New Orleans, or if it came out of some other experience that you've had.
So definitely. So my grandparents were farmers. My grandparents were my favorite people. I talk about them so much. But Emmett and Thelma Muse, and they were farmers in Greensburg, Louisiana. So a small town north of Louisiana, but it's beautiful. We call it God's country. And my grandparents were farmers, but also educators. And so on their farm, we used to do stuff like pick blackberries. I learned how to drive on a tractor.
Come on.
Right. But there were figs, there were pears, there was all strawberries. There was a whole bunch of different stuff on the farm. And just even in terms of like when we were little, snapping beans in the big metal pails with my grandmother. But so I'm experienced with agriculture. My grandfather went to Southern University Ag Center, so go Jaguars. But you know, so I've always been experienced with it. And then I recently learned that my paternal grandfather, Papa Kenneth, Isidore Kenneth Charles from Dominica, that's why my name is Dominique.
I love that.
But my grandfather was a really big sweet potato farmer. Like, he grew, like, my daddy was like, "Did you know that?" And I was like, "No." So I think all these things have been innate. They've been within my family. Yes. But I always tell people, when I was coming up, you know, it was fun when I was little, but then I'm from New Orleans.
Okay.
So I was out here when I was a teen.
I know that's right.
In the 99 and 2000s. Okay. So anyway, so I got really brought back into the gardening space after I purchased my home in the district in 2013. Okay. And a great friend of mine, Lauren, we were driving to IKEA. I love IKEA.
Me too.
So on that drive, she was like, "You don't want to do a garden?" And I was like, "No, girl, I want to have brunch. I want to have cookouts." But, you know, I'm really blessed to say that I have a pretty large yard for a standard DC home.
Yes,
and
I would say so. Yes, you do.
And so, you know, while we were driving, she's like, well, what would you grow if you had a garden? I'm like, I grow this, I grow that, I grow this. And so when I had my housewarming in May of 2014, she had all these people helping her. And I was like, girl, helping you with what? I registered at CB2. Like, what? And so what she did was she started me off a starter garden.
Oh,
and so
what a
it was
wonderful
like,
gift.
you know, those huge terracotta pots.
Yes.
So it was those, but it was multiple of them. And so she created like a salad garden, a salsa garden, a pizza garden for me. And I started to showcase those on the internet. And that was the beginning of like the very small beginnings of Pots and Pans was 2014. And so after that first year, then I built my first 4x4 bed from a kit. Because I wasn't even confident in using tools yet, and then that 4x4 bed turned into another, and then an 8x4, and you know now we are here.
Yes, with the fever, honey, with the gardening fever,
with a tree that I planted.
Yes.
So it's just grown from there. So I'll say, you know, at the heart of it, yes, from both sets of grandparents in both Dominica as well as Greensburg, Louisiana. But then also really being pushed by my friends. I had two different girlfriends who Esene and Kelly, and they don't even know each other, but both of them poured so much into me, like, I think you're on to something.
Yes.
And I didn't believe it. I think I'm a confident person, but I'm also, as confident as I am, I'm also unsure of things, and I'm always like, I don't know, it's not cool, it's not sexy. But I just did it anyway, because it kind of was like, does it have to be cool? Does it have to be sexy?
Right.
You know, a million years later, here we are, and I'm constantly just growing, and I've had some cool opportunities. I've gotten to know great people, and I'm just thankful.
Yes, that's wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
really love that your friends poured into you in that way.
Oh, yeah.
And were critical to you having this experience, because so many times we hear people say that they're embarking on something and they don't get the support of their family or their friends. They're kind of the last people to jump on board. And so to know that you had a very opposite experience of that just really warms my heart, because that's when you really, really know that you're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
When other people want to sow into what you're doing. So that, I mean, I feel like this is all destined.
Oh.
And that is wonderful. Yes.
And even following up with the friends, I think many of my friends didn't live in situations or spaces where they had, or they believed that they had room to garden, right? But they've always referred other people to me. So there's a young lady, one of my recent clients, who said, does anybody know a gardener? And at least 5 people said Dominique. And that was, to me, like, amazing.
Yes,
and she actually wanted to grow flowers. And I was like, oh, girl, I don't do flowers. And then when I kind of talked to her about what I do, I have now received 1,001 texts from her with her pictures of her first tomatoes, and so she's just really been pleased.
I love that. And I think that also we have to talk about how you went from doing your home gardening to starting Pots and Pans, because that piece of taking other people on this journey is so important, because I really feel like we're in a space and time where knowing how to grow your own food is very important. Whether you're doing that on a smaller scale, or if you have the capacity to do it much larger, you need to at least know how to grow and be able to sustain yourself.
Yes.
And so how did you start dabbling into assisting other people, and then what did Pots and Pans come out of?
You know, I don't actually remember who the first client was, but probably one of the earlier clients will be a lady named Ellen. Ellen is my favorite, because Ellen let me do whatever. Yes. Ellen was like, I want a garden, but I also want a landscape. And I think that was kind of like she might be the first client, but Ellen wanted an edible landscape. So she wanted her backyard to still be cool, to be functional. She had a really small space, and she allowed me to just kind of use my creativity. And having the big budget was helpful too.
I know that's right.
But it was helpful. So she was like, you know, really, you know, the big start of that. And so from there, then I could take pictures and share them with other people. Like, well, I'm building gardens for folks. But she was one of my earlier clients who just kind of gave me the free-for-all, because she wanted a garden and she trusted me. But again, it kind of goes back to the friend thing, because another good friend, Starsha, was doing house plants, and Starsha doesn't do outside plants. So she was like, hey, I know somebody for you. Dominique can help you. And so it was just the word of mouth, and it just worked really well from there.
Yes, that's wonderful. Well, I am so glad that you are here, thriving and helping other people to have this same experience. As you've gone through this journey, what are some things that you feel like have challenged you and as a result made you stronger in your abilities to help others?
Some of the challenges are, oh my God, social media. I'm not good at everything. I would love to believe that I'm great at everything, but I'm not. And so I think that at a certain point, I didn't realize it was okay to outsource. So again, friends, who knows how to do this?
Yeah.
And so I can still come up with the content, but I think I can't do all the things. So we have a little meeting, a powwow weekly about, well, what's going on. And so I will film the videos, I send the videos, they get edited and get sent back to me. But social media has been the biggest challenge, especially like the consistent posting. I'm a relatively private person.
Yeah.
And so on my personal page, it is dry as nails. Nothing is exciting over there. But like, you know, on Pots and Pans, there is a level of engagement that I have to maintain. Yeah. So that can be difficult. But I think that's probably the biggest challenge. And then ultimately, I think the secondary challenge was the physical aspect of it is that I have some mobility challenges. Okay. So I have some issues with my hips and I just can't move things around like I'd like to. So there are times where I have to like really gauge, is this necessary? Do I have to do this? Okay, should I hire some people from outside? And telling myself I can't do it all. So those would be the biggest challenges, but also again relying on others and not being so dependent on myself that I can't ask for help.
Right. That's a very critical point. Very critical point to use your resources. Mm-hmm. It's amazing the things that we will have in our hearts to do but we won't do because we think that we can't. For whatever those reasons are, pull in the people that you know that can. Get the help that you need so that you can live whatever your dream is. I think that's so important. And as somebody that has chronic pain issues, I absolutely understand how it is to have limits in your mobility. But that's when you call on a friend, you call on a neighbor, you hire someone if you have to. I definitely strongly advocate for not letting physical issues keep you from things that bring you so much positive physical experience and physical outcomes, because not only is this food that we grow especially good for our bodies, but the experience of having your hands in the soil
even
so
your
good
toes.
For your soul.
I haven't had on shoes yet.
Yes, exactly. Like that grounding is so important. Mm-hmm. Aside from the food that you've grown, what do you think has been good for your heart, for your spirit, for your soul, from your gardening experience?
Oh my gosh. One, when people say when they think of gardening, they think of me. And I think two, so you know, and your dad knows, but I've had some cool experiences with media, and I got to be on the Today Show multiple times, which is really cool. But like for somebody to say they saw themselves and like literally saw themselves to be, you know, a black woman with natural hair, to be plus size, to be super short, but also to wear glasses. I think I'm so many people. I fit the mold of so many American women, black American women, but it's important to see ourselves on TV. Yes. And so I think that has been very crucial for me, because I've always wanted to see myself on TV, which is also another reason why I'm always so happy to talk to you about different things, because when I see you, I see me. And so I think it's important to see just women who look like us, who look like so many of our aunts, our sisters, our friends, to be able to amplify our voices in our physical space.
Mm-hmm. Yes, self-affirming and then also giving that same thing to other people.
Yes.
I definitely identify with that, because I'm gonna tell you, you mentioned my dad. Me and my dad watched you on your first episode of the Today Show, and he made sure I was dialed in, that I knew what time the episode was coming on. He sent me the information, and of course I already knew you were going to be on the Today Show, but I love that he tried to bring me into the fold. I love me a dog in a garden, child. I just think seeing them frolicking through the landscape is so much fun. And you have the absolute most adorable puppy love, Butter. And I'd love to know how you experience the garden with him.
So Butter is funny. He loves being outside. So we do lots of catch and whatnot, but he likes being out here specifically to eat blueberries.
Okay.
So that's his jam. My previous dog, Basil, used to be outside, and he loved to eat, he loved collard greens. So like pulling up the greens in front of Basil was a to-do, because he would try to steal them. But yeah, so Butter likes to be out here, and it's fun. He also helped me dig up potatoes last year.
Oh,
so I was
good job.
We had to get a bath afterwards, but he was helping out. But yeah, it's just fun to be out here, and it's like, kind of multitasking to spend time with him outside, but also to be doing my yard work. But he loves the garden. So I know he'll be even more excited when I cut the watermelons.
Okay, yes. That was one of my little puppy love's favorites. She loved watermelons so much. And I'm like, we always grew the small ones so she could feel important getting her a whole watermelon to herself. Be like, girl, please. But she really loved that, and I'm so tickled that Butter enjoys that as well.
He does.
Yes, I'm glad that you have such a faithful companion to be on this journey with you. That is wonderful. And the next thing that I would like to ask you is what your hopes and dreams are for the future. Do you have any plans for this space or thoughts about a future space that you're willing to share today?
Oh my gosh. So from my mouth to God's ears, I would love my own HGTV show or any type of network show, but I would love to share gardening with the world. I would love that opportunity. I do think I make for great TV.
I think you do too. I think you do too.
But that's the space that I would like to be. So I have a show concept ready to go. But that's what I like. I mean, this year, and that's in terms of pots and pans as a whole. With my space, this is probably my last year with wooden beds. So I kind of have an idea of a garden redo. I've had some grass things going on, so in my space it'll get overhaul the plan, because you have great plans, but the plan is to overhaul the space, but really to just continue to garden and share. And I love to share with my neighbors when I can. What was cool, I went home last week. I went home to New Orleans, and I brought my parents some of my tomatoes, and they loved them. Now I might have had the worst tomatoes ever. I don't. But my parents were like, these are so good. So that was really cool as well. But yeah, so this year coming, I would love to take over the world. I want to be, people say the Black Martha Stewart, but I say I want to be the next B. Smith. Yes. And I want to be bigger than what, B got a chance to be. But she is, who I model myself off with. So yeah, that's what I have in my mind.
Love B, and I love that for you. That is wonderful. And I also love that you are speaking life into the things that you desire and you hope for. And that's how we make those things come true. HGTV, she's ready for you.
I've been ready.
Yes, she is ready for you. The last thing that I want to ask you is, when you think about all of your experience in gardening over the years of your life, when you were doing it or even before that, what is something that has been memorable for you?
My grandparents. Sharing with my grandfather was deceased by the time I got into gardening. But oh Lord, I'm about to cry again. But there's a picture on my website of me and my grandfather, and I have on like overalls, of course. But it's me and my grandfather. But then even as I became more skilled and more knowledgeable, I would talk to my grandmother, my mama, about it. And I think she was one tickled that I got back into this space, but she also was just like really happy. I think to see maybe my legacy or her legacy wasn't exactly like, you know, her footsteps, but it was very similar. And so, you know, those things didn't die.
Right.
And so, you know, just
Absolutely.
sharing those experiences with her and having that commonality of like, you know, a space of joy and sharing and community. That's what I see in gardening.
Yes.
My grandparents, like, wholeheartedly.
I love that.
Thank you.
The grands, they always come through.
Listen.
They always come through and do us right, don't they?
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
When I was talking to my mom, she was talking about my nephew, and I had to laugh. I was like, was this how Mama and Papa were about us? She's like, absolutely. So, you know, it's really cute to watch people become grandparents.
I love that. I love that. Well, I just want to thank you for having me again. I love this garden.
Thank you.
I love seeing you on social media. I cannot wait for you to be a regular on my TV screen.
Me neither.
Can't wait. And just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Especially because it's a very hot day.
It's a little toasty.
And we're a little moist out here, but we got it done.
We did.
And I thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Yes.